forget to scoop up something to munch on at rrgsnacks.com, our online concession stand that has an assortment of Applewood smoked bacon jerky, freeze-dried goodies, and butter toffee peanuts. Tracee Ellis Ross always looks so happy and unbothered. But she revealed on the Michelle Obama podcast that she's grieving the life she imagined for herself, a life that includes a husband and children. Let's talk about a grown woman moment that had the girls in their feelings. And not the messy kind, but the real deal vulnerable type. So, sis is turning 53 this year. Still out here looking like a walking skincare ad, but let's keep it real. She's never been married and doesn't have any kids. She used to be booed up with Akon's brother, Boo. Yes, that Boo. And they were together for a minute. Folks really thought it was end game for her, but life had other plans and that love story didn't stick. She opened up on a podcast and said, "I grieve the things that I thought would be and that are not. I'm not married, I don't have children, and I think I grieve that at times." Phew. That was a gut punch for the strong aunties who keep it all together on the outside, but sometimes cry in the shower, okay? And just when you thought it couldn't get more real, Mrs. Michelle Obama came through with the kind of wisdom that hits like a hug and a truth serum all in one. She said, "That's the pain of being a liberated woman. The choice doesn't mean the grief isn't there." Ooh. Again. Because yeah, you can choose yourself, build a bomb career, travel the world, and still have moments where you sit with the what could have beens. It's giving grown, it's giving layered, it's giving you can have it all, just maybe not all at once energy. And honestly, we love that this convo is finally being had out loud. 53, fine, and emotionally evolved. She's in her era, even with the grief. What do you have to say about this, Auntie?
Tracee better get somewhere and sit down. You know what? Somewhere there is a tired, working wife with a husband who is blind to her second duty when she come home after work and have to care for them kids, cook the food, do all the laundry, do all the cleaning, while he sit there watching the news on his game. She's somewhere sitting around thinking, you know what? I should have never gotten married, should have never had these kids. I wish I was single and able to travel the world and take on many lovers. The grass is always green on the other side. But I will say that I understand where Tracee is coming from, because if you haven't experienced it for yourself, you still think it's desirable. Married women have dated and they know what it's like to be single, but single women who've never been married can't say that they know what it's like, to be married. And while I don't want Tracee to get married just for the sake of getting married, I would advise her to talk to more married women, okay? Because society has a way of romanticizing marriage, when in actuality, it is what you make it. Let me just start with that. But because we've romanticized it, a lot of people who get married, especially at young ages, don't realize that work is involved. Real hard work. Think if more people realize how hard marriage actually was in order to get it to where you want it to be. I don't mean that it's hard every day, always, but it is always shifting and changing because the people involved are shifting and changing. They're growing older. Their own life experiences as individuals are changing and shifting, and then they have to find a way to find common ground within their marriage. It takes work, constant work to check in with one another to make sure you're still on the same page. I think if more people realize that, fewer people would be married. Now, I know this is going to seem like a contradiction because I'm always hollering about y'all getting married, but that's because y'all out here doing married things like having kids, okay? If you're going to be doing married stuff, go and get married. Now that we have that out the way, some people may wonder why Tracee never adopted, but I think it's because Tracee probably wanted to raise children within a marriage with a partner. Miss Shonda Rhimes has decided not to have a partner and to raise two beautiful girls all on her own, and she's wealthy enough to do so. We'll have to fast forward, to find out how the children felt about being raised without a father. Probably have no issue with that at all. And I say father, but what I mean is a second parent, even another mother. Not that Shonda is gay, because y'all know how y'all run off with these rumors, so let me make this plain. Let me just say two-parent household, because good googly moogly, the way, some folks, they just don't be getting it, y'all. Because raising a child is hard work, just like a marriage is hard work. Because again, you got two people involved. You got the little person, who is the child, who has their own set of feelings and experiences, and then you got the parent. If there's another parent, sure, you've got another set of experiences, but at least you, as a parent, you got backup, okay? So it's just my guess. I've never heard her say out loud, but I figure she probably wanted to raise a child with a partner. And when you are wealthy and have social status, such as Tracee Ellis Ross, you can have a baby at 53. That ain't too old. look at Janet Jackson, all right? Even if she doesn't choose to have a child on her own, she can have a surrogate. I wonder if her eggs are frozen. Anywho, some may also wonder if her standards are too high, if she should, lower her standards and maybe perhaps fall in love and marry somebody who isn't Hollywood or who isn't in Hollywood. But I always say that it's easier to meet people in your socioeconomic settings. You are more likely to meet somebody that you work with at the grocery store, in your neighborhood where you shop, in your side, on your side of town, because that's where you are. And in Hollywood circles, the reason the dating pool is seems so small is because those are the circles they constantly run around in. She may not be in a position where she meets, Joe Blow the plumber, because there are some very successful blue collar guys out here. They own HVAC companies and plumbing companies, honey. They ain't poor by any means. But that goes back to my point about the socioeconomic settings. They never bump into each other. And I will also say that it takes a certain type of man who is not intimidated by a woman of Tracee's stature, that wouldn't try to hog the limelight from her, who wouldn't be offended if people called him Mr. Tracee Ellis Ross, because we would only know him by proxy of her. It takes a very special man. He does exist. He's out there somewhere, but how will they ever meet? I don't know. You tell me, tell us, so we all know. Do you have a story like this? I'm curious. Did anybody out here marry outside of what they would consider their socioeconomic structure? If so, how did you meet and where did you meet? Tracee is not the only one who's going through this. There are people who are not in Hollywood, women who are in Hollywood, who are also going through this same thing. There's a woman that's under the sound of my voice right now who's considering lowering her standards just so she can say she got married. And to that woman and any woman like her, I would like to say this. There's more power in gratitude. There's more power in being grateful for where you are in your life right now and what you have than to be considering and grieving over that which you do not have. Do y'all hear, Auntie? Take a moment. Tracee needs to take a moment to dig deep into her gratitude, to be grateful for her extended family, for her nieces and nephews, and the love that she can give to them. And there's a such thing as aunties, who are mumties is what I call them. They mamas and / aunties, right? They the rich auntie. To live in that flavor, live in that profile, travel, be grateful to be beautiful and have a fit body and go where you want to go when you want to go and be able to date different men of different calibers if you see fit. But here's the thing. The more you date and not expose yourself like that, not flashing people, not like that. And I've said this before, and somebody has something smart to say, so I'm going to take this opportunity to clap back. But they was like, dating many people is not the answer to that, Auntie. And I would like to say, sit your ass down somewhere. Didn't nobody ask you nothing. Because for some reason, y'all think when I say date, I mean swap spit and swap bodily fluids and, do the horizontal tango. That ain't what I'm talking about. There is nothing, and this is why you got it twisted if you think a coffee date is a bad idea. Go on several coffee dates a week, 3 or 4. Meet different men, talk to different men, because a lot of y'all, let me tell you something, a lot of married women in these comments, if you're brave enough to say so, say so. A lot of y'all in these comments married the man that you met in college. You married the man, your high school sweetheart. You married somebody that you went into the armed forces right after high school and you married the first man you met there. Many of y'all haven't dated dozens of men, and when I say dated, I mean talked to, had a conversation with, had over a cup of coffee or a walk in the park to get to know these different types of dynamics of men that exist out here. Y'all don't know your from a hole in the wall to know what you like and what you might not like. Take the time to explore dating and talking to different men, meeting different men in different social situations. Go to galas, then go to the party at the juke joint, then go to a cookout, then travel and meet somebody, on one of these islands out here or in a completely different country. Talk to people, period. Because truthfully, meeting quote unquote the right one is a numbers game. It's no different than statistics. Your auntie has a background in sales, okay? And I knew back in the day, the more people who told me no, the closer I was getting to the yes. When you're dating and you're going on these coffee dates and you're having these conversations, 15, 30-minute conversations with these men, you'll know right away if you pay attention to your red flags. And that's another thing, your intuition will grow stronger. Trust that feeling in your stomach that says, this ain't the one, baby. And at least it's a coffee date and it'll be done in 10 minutes. You see what I'm saying? As opposed to some fancy dinner date where you got to sit there for another hour and a half. Because it really just is about statistics. It's a numbers game. And so the more conversations you have, the more information and data you will collect on the type of man that you like. And here's the thing, a lot of us think that we're supposed to date men who are just like us. They make the same amount of money, they the same religion, they the same race, when oftentimes opposites do attract. Why would you want somebody that's exactly like you? What would y'all ever talk about? All I'm saying is it would be an opportunity to explore and learn something new if you dated someone who was a little different than you. And so to wrap this up, I think that it would be a grand idea for Tracee and other women in her position to emphasize and focus on the good things in their lives. Get rooted in gratitude for what you've got in your life, and at the same time be open to talking to different men or women, whatever your flavor profile is, and getting out there and just meeting people. That's all. Is it hard? It ain't hard, y'all. Y'all make it hard.